Have you ever wished you could just, I don't know, download a new skill? Like learn the piano or a new language or just master something super complex in a fraction of the time it normally takes? Well, get this. A new scientific proposal suggests the key isn't just about studying harder. It's about rebooting your brain at the absolute perfect moment. So let's dive into how this idea of hacking genius might actually work.
Now, this sounds like something straight out of a comic book, right? But our story starts with a very real and, frankly, very strange medical phenomenon. Just imagine an ordinary person who suffers a head injury and then suddenly wakes up with these extraordinary new talents. I'm talking about becoming a mathematical genius, a gifted musician, or an incredible artist, all with zero prior training.
And yeah, this is a real thing. Scientists call it acquired savant syndrome. And these cases, while they're super rare, they suggest that our brains might have these incredible abilities just lying dormant, waiting to be accessed. The trauma, it seems, somehow unlocks this window of massive brain plasticity, which is really just a fancy way of saying the brain's ability to rewire itself and form new connections at an unbelievable speed.
And that, of course, leads to the billion-dollar question that a new theoretical paper is trying to answer. Is there a way for us to open that exact same window for rapid learning, to get access to those hidden skills, but, safely and on demand? And most importantly, without the brain injury part.
So let's be super clear here. This isn't science fiction we're talking about. The actual scientific goal is to create a safe, non-injurious version of what happens to acquired savants. What they're proposing is a method to trigger a very brief but perfectly timed network reset that could just dramatically accelerate how we learn.
Okay, so how in the world would this even work? Well, the scientists have kind of boiled it all down to a three-part formula. Think of it like a recipe for hacking your brain's learning code. Let's take a look at the ingredients.
Okay, so first, you need to trigger a very specific type of brain reset. Second, you prime the brain for that change using something surprisingly simple, video games. And third, there's this secret sauce, a critical ingredient that connects the whole thing, and it comes from a part of your body you were probably not expecting. Let's break these down one by one.
So what's really fascinating is how we can actually see this reset happening. Deep in your brainstem, there's this tiny little structure called the locus coeruleus, or LC. The best way to think of it is as the brain's CTRL plus Alt plus Delete. It literally forces a system-wide reboot of your attention, telling your brain, okay, stop what you're doing, pay attention. Something important is about to happen. And the amazing part, we can see a sign of this reset on the outside. Your pupils briefly get bigger.
All right, so you've hit the reset button. Now what? This is where the learning booster comes in. The paper suggests that playing a game like Tetris isn't just for fun, it's the perfect tool. That constant cycle of predicting and getting a reward in the game, it releases a key molecule called BDNF. Now, think of BDNF as like the construction crew that shows up right after you hit reset. It provides all the materials for your brain cells to build new, stronger connections. So you're basically preparing the soil and bringing in the builders, all at once.
This all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how would you even begin to test an idea this radical? Okay, let's move on to the proposed experiment and see how this goes from just a cool concept to a concrete, testable hypothesis. So what's the goal here? Look at this number. The ambition is to teach someone a short musical phrase on the piano in 15 repetitions or less. 15! That is insanely faster than how we typically learn. Now, to prove this actually works, you need a control group. So here's the setup. The active group, they hear the piano notes only in that precise moment right after their pupils dilate, which signals that the LC has fired its reset burst. The control group, they hear the exact same notes, but just at random times, completely unlinked to their brain state. The only difference is the timing, and if the theory is right, only the active group should learn at that super accelerated rate. But wait, there's one more piece to this puzzle. A final and really surprising ingredient that might determine whether that reset button even works at all. And it has nothing to do with what's happening in your head, at least not directly.
That's right, the paper proposes that the health and the composition of the trillions of bacteria living in your gut, your microbiome, could be the ultimate gatekeeper for rapid learning. It might be the very thing that sets the stage for the brain to even be receptive to that reset signal in the first place.
And this isn't just some wild guess, It's actually supported by real research. For instance, as this timeline shows, one major study found that the specific bacteria in an infant's gut could predict their brain network connectivity at age 6 and even their emotional health by age 7.5. I mean, the gut-brain link is incredibly powerful, and it starts really, really early.
So, how does this actually work? Well, certain good gut bacteria produce these chemicals called short-chain fatty acids. These chemicals then travel up something called the vagus nerve, which is basically a superhighway connecting your gut to your brain, and they directly influence our reset button, the locus coeruleus. The takeaway here is pretty simple. A healthy gut helps put the LC into a phasic state. Think of it as being alert and ready to learn. But an unhealthy gut can push it into a tonic state, which is more like a constant low-level stress signal that pretty much shuts down your brain's ability to learn.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound final thought, doesn't it? We so often think of genius as something that happens purely in the brain. But what if the foundation for unlocking our mind's true potential, for learning faster, for seeing the world in brand new ways, isn't just in our head, but has been hiding in our gut all along? Definitely something to think about.